Welcome back to No Rucks Given. So, we're going to dive into probably one of rugby's most infuriating debates at the moment, and it's referee and TMO inconsistency. So, obviously, this has been brought on by the end of the second test between the Lions and the Wallabies, but it's not the first time we're seeing it, hearing of it, but it's just sort of the catalyst to this video. So we're going to have a look at that. Going to have a look at the World Cup final, um, and a few other things. So why are fans upset? I mean, technology was supposed to help, but now TMOs are just intervening in multiple plays a match, slowing down the game and just causing so much confusion. I mean, even former ref Nigel Owens says too many cooks are spoiling the broth of rugby, as it were. You know, rugby fans are calling for TMO limits. You know, only in on large errors or game defining things does it make sense to me. Not every minimal issue or intrusion or small bits of play that really mean nothing at the end of the day for these games. So let's look. Lions versus Wallabies. So in test 2, Australia led 23-5 before the Lions completed an incredible comeback. And it is an incredible comeback, and good for them for winning the game and winning the test series, completing the Lions' largest ever comeback. But it's all a bit spoiled by that final play. So it all came down to Jack Morgan's clean out on Carlo Tizzano, which now Australia are claiming made head and neck contact violating law 9.20. Officials reviewed it during the game and allowed the try, giving the Lions a 29-26 win and the series. Now, what the ref said during the game and what they've maintained since is both players were arriving at the same time. And to me, I can understand that to a point. But it still infringes on the law. It clearly hits neck and head and it should have been disallowed, in my humble opinion. I mean, even Joe Schmidt himself in Rugby Australia are demanding answers. Whilst obviously, and I can understand why the Lions staff are defending Morgan's actions. Former world class referee Wayne Barnes has supported Andrea Piardi's decision, stating that head contact doesn't always mean foul play if the players arrive simultaneously. And I can understand that, but I am seeing far too often now in games where a player is tripping into a tackle and the tackler or them have made head on head contact, the player gets a penalty or a yellow card. There's nothing that can be done in that situation. So it should be consistent then. If you're arriving at the same time or you're slipping, there needs to be some sort of mitigation, not just, well, this is a special case. It just doesn't make sense. You know, Barnes went on to say he emphasized preserving game flow and letting on-field officials manage. And I get that. But this was not only a game defining play, but also a series defining play. Barnes himself is no stranger to something like that. When we look at the World Cup final, 2023, Aaron Smith's try was disallowed due to a knock-on by Ardie Savea at a line-out. 4 phases before the try was scored, and that was New Zealand's argument. And I got that. But a precedent had been set in the game where the TMO was involved numerous times. It was the Sam Cane red card. Well, initially yellow that then got upgraded to a red. Sio Khaleesi's yellow card. That remained a yellow and he was allowed to rejoin the game. So if we go back to the World Cup try that was disallowed, technically it's correct by protocol, but it does set that precedent. You know, even the All Blacks coach Ian Foster demanded explanations. Some argued it followed the letter, but violated the spirit of the game. And I think that's sort of what we're boiling down to. It's TMOs are there to help the referees, but is it ruining the spirit of the game? A referee will never call a perfect game. It's impossible. They're human beings at the end of the day. The TMOs are supposed to be there to help for certain things that they can't see. But just interjecting all the time, it just doesn't quite feel right. Another game to look at was Scotland versus France. At Murrayfield, Sam Skinner's pick and go appeared to score a late try for Scotland. But the TMO upheld the held up decision. Nigel Owens actually later said the advantage of doubt should always go to the attackers, saying, lack of precision here penalizes creative play. And I agree. It could have been an incredible upset for Scotland to beat France. But everything is getting in the way of the game, I'm feeling. It's tough, and it also boils down to what question the referee actually asks the TMO, because that can make a big difference on what they're allowed to look at and what they're going to say. They say that their on-field was a try, for example, but they want to check if there's any reason that they cannot award the try. If that was the wording, and there was no clear evidence of a knock-on or being held up, then the try would be awarded. So it boils down to what discussion the TMO and the ref are actually having together. So is the TMO too intrusive or too passive? And what needs fixing? So here's my proposal. Let TMOs intervene only for clear and obvious foul play within 2 phases of scoring, or 2 phases of the incident. Referee autonomy must be respected, while the TMO serves as a safety net, not a mid-game researcher looking at every fine detail in slow motion. It just slows everything down. Protocol simplification can restore flow and trust in the referees. Because now what's happening is the TMO is going to interject, and that's what I think a lot of people are waiting for. And in terms of referees, they're going, if I didn't see that, I'm sure the TMO will say something. But that for me is not in the spirit of the game. So, TMO needs to be reformed, and there needs to be referee autonomy. What they say goes. What they have seen goes. Unless there is something that is clear and obvious, goes against the spirit and the laws of the game very clearly, only then can the TMO interject and ask the referee to have a look. Referees and TMOs need to decide how they are going to police rugby's biggest moments. Sometimes they are getting it correct, but on the other side, it can be incredibly crushing for those teams. And I think you can look at it on both sides, or both teams, as it were, in the three games that are sort of win over. One side, the players deem it's correct that the TMO and the referee got involved, and the other side, it meant that they lost the game. So, what do you think? Should refs get more autonomy, or should TMOs be watching every little detail? Share your thoughts below. Hit like if you're frustratingly watching this TMO and referee chaos. And please subscribe to No Rucks Given for more discussions on everything rugby. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.